Lady Clock, and time for the penguin on top of your television set to explode.
Welcome back to episode 3 of Childhood Television, and this week we're going to bust a ghost. Space Ghost, that is. Space Ghost was voiced by Gary Owens, who I knew from Laugh-In, along with Tim Matheson as Jace, and also he did Johnny Quest and some of the other Hanna-Barbera cartoons. And then Don Messick who did a lot of animals and other things in the 60s, also was the voice of many of the bad guys on the show. Space Ghost, of course, was an old-fashioned Saturday morning cartoon. And I say old-fashioned because that kind of stuff went out of fashion in the 1980s, where you actually had cartoons on Saturday morning for an extended many hours, from like about 7 o'clock in the morning to like 11, sometimes even noon. So yeah, and they would just they would run amok. And I always enjoyed that Saturday morning tradition, but times change. And so what we have here is Space Ghost, who is this intergalactic kind of police officer, but he's more of just a superhero in space with a really cool power gauntlets, a couple of teenage kids to get in trouble, and Blip, the Hanna-Barbera animal who's generally smarter than the humans. And so what you have is just a mix of the good guys are good, the bad guys are bad, then there isn't anything in between. This is, there isn't any gray. It's just Space Ghost is good, the villains are bad. Now, Space Ghost episodes were only about 6 to 7 minutes long. Now, because back in the day, that's how long you had between the commercial breaks. Your typical cartoons were you had 7 minutes commercials, another 7 minutes commercials, another 7 minutes, and your half an hour is done. That was it. So Space Ghost typically had an episode, did a thing called Dino Boy. There was also Herculoids and things like that. That was also put in there in later times, and I was going to cover the Herculoids and Thundarr the Barbarian in a future show. So what you had is very short cartoons. So they largely cut to the chase. Time constraints on the storylines. So pretty much you get either Space Ghost or the kids or somebody gets in trouble, finds the bad guy, gets captured by the bad guy. The bad guy gloats. Space Ghost comes in, kicks his butt. That's pretty much it. What can you can't do a whole lot in 7 minutes, but it's still it's a great deal of fun, and that's the reason why I still love it to this day. Actually, at some point I would actually like to do a Halloween costume with Space Ghost, but I'm terrible at costuming. It would be but I'd love to do it. I really would, because he was just cool. He really was. To a kid like me when I was growing up, he was cool. His power bands, his little rays, and it was just so cool. And so what I have lined up here for you is Space Ghost, The Challenge. I thought I would do something different this time. I would go ahead and show something from just a few years ago It was an opening on the episode of Batman Brave and the Bold.
It is just desserts.
Actually, he'll probably be dessert.
Talk show called Space Ghost Coast to Coast, which was kind of a Letterman style kind of a parody TV show, but with guests and Space Ghosts, and then he would have the former supervillains as kind of his band members and things. It was actually very hilarious, but one actually, if you watch the original show, would understand some of the subtext and some of the humor that was actually also thrown into that show. And I just found out on Amazon that they're going to be re-releasing the DC Comics series from 2005, which explored the origins of Space Ghost itself. So I would encourage you to order it, especially if you want to see the origins of Space Ghost, as it was done by DC, which is owned by Warner Brothers, which owns all the Hanna-Barbera stuff, like Space Ghost. So it's about as close as you're going to get to canon on a 50-year-old Saturday morning cartoon. Very much for watching this episode of Childhood Television. Don't forget to subscribe, or also check out the other episodes that I've actually produced here. I do have a Facebook page, but it's currently not working. I love technology, I really do. You can still email me at childhoodtv@aol.com with any thoughts, or I'll even take requests. But at this point, I was considering making my next episode The Addams Family, simply because of the time of the year. Might as well go with the Halloween thing. I'll let you know. But thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a glorious day. If you want to contact me, please contact childhoodtv@aol.com. Or you can also check out my new Facebook page. And I will attempt Twitter for the first time. So that would be at childhoodtv1962.